E che cazzo. Sì, sto registrando, ti chiamo dopo. Ciao. Switch off this fucking phone. Okay, season 2. Here we go.
Hi.
Hi, Mihir. Good afternoon.
Hi, Stefan. How are you?
Fine.
Good afternoon. How are you doing?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
Super.
Nice. Thanks so much for accepting our invitation. I'm really glad.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. Pleasure.
Our pleasure. So let me give you an idea of what we are doing here and how this is organized. So basically, this is video podcast series. This is actually the second episode of the second season, and while we will talk about different topics. The creative director of Tecnografica, my colleague, Mr. Marco Fontana, will live handle. Yeah, so it will be an interesting experience for all of us.
I'm sure.
So, Mihir, I'd like to
looking forward.
I'd like to start right away, and I'd like to start asking you to describe yourself, give us an idea of who you are, what is your profession, and where do you work usually?
Okay, fine. So I am architect Mihir Kotak from Fourth Dimension, Mumbai, India. Ours is an architectural interior firm. Been practicing since last 18 years, me and my friend's firm. So we've laid our hands practically to anything and everything that has to do with creativity. That's as far as the profession goes. As per my passion goes, I am an avid cricket player, and I love cricket, and that's something which has kept me to now. So these are the aspects probably that I can say about our life.
That's pretty cool. I read your biography, and I knew that you loved cricket.
So that's something which I already had.
Nice. So you're a player, cricket player as well.
Yeah.
That is number one sport in India.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice. I've never played, but I've seen several movies and some matches sometimes.
Yeah, I'm sure. No, but once you get a hang of it, it's pretty cool and it's pretty engrossing as well.
Nice. Pretty interesting. Yeah, this is something we are not very used to in Italy. I know in UK is of course is going pretty good. Yeah. Nice.
So you are more of a soccer fan.
Yeah, exactly. Almost soccer and football. Yeah.
Yeah. Good.
So during this conversation, we are actually talking with several players of from different countries. Which are all working in, let's say, interior design or architectural field, or maybe they are business persons as well. The idea of starting this podcast came up when we wanted to do something regarding this situation. So understanding how our clients, our partners are doing during this COVID-19 pandemic and situation, and to see the different let's say how different people and countries are facing this situation. So my first question for you is this one: how is Mumbai or India, generally speaking, facing this situation, and how this situation influenced your directly your work and your projects?
Okay, so it's a stressful time for everyone. I suppose. I mean, it's a worst hit for most of the countries. Well, we could pick a cue from the other countries, and we tried to kind of take care of the precautionary measures that we have to take, and we have to make sure that we are safe. It comes down to our profession per se. Well, the sites are shut, but then it has given us a lot of, I would say, a self-evaluating time with our team and ourselves. And we've kind of, honestly speaking, looking at it as a boon where we've rejuvenated ourselves. Many things which have always taken the back shift have always been on the second priority have been taken up, and we are kind of sorted now. So I would say that as far as the work on site goes, yes, there has been a hit. The laborers, the vendors, the contractors have been hit very badly. So are we. But yes, there's been a lot of positives that we would take out of this as well.
Yeah, this is a topic that always come up during this conversation. So the fact that even during this bad situation, some interesting opportunities can come across us.
Sure,
So I was wondering,
absolutely.
how do you think this situation will impact the design trends in your country? Do you think that, for example, being forced to work from home will affect the way in which designers and architects will think? Will think home and houses in the future.
So, in fact, you would not believe me. In this lockdown of 1.5 months that we have been facing, we've been able to bag more than 6 projects during this lockdown. And we are talking of good, nice scale projects. Now, these guys had a very specific requirements. One was a vestibule or sanitization sort of a zone before they enter the house. So that was one thing which was kind of a primary requirement, which they were very specific about. And to add it up, they also preferred having a small office space carved out, which could be used by their kids to do their online sessions, or could be used by the owner of the house, where he, if at all he has to work from home. And mind you, I mean, we, as I told you, like this has been a very productive time for us per se, because uh, in Bombay, particularly, you spend half of your life in your vehicle, traveling from one place to the other. So in a day, if at all we have to meet 2 clients, and that's about it. Like, you are mentally, physically exhausted. And now we are doing more than 2 meetings, and then still able to work on our creative part of it, still give time to our family, still have some own time for ourselves, and still have a lot of free time. So it's kind of working very well for us. So I don't know. I mean, we are very very optimistic. Design wise, yes, as I told you, now people are very very specific. They have started believing in having a self-sustainable sort of a house. Not too much of a clutter, yes, but at the same time they are understanding the importance of having things which are more uh, kind of self utilized, and not having something which has to be maintained or which has to be used with an external or third party agency. So that is also one more feedback that we are getting with all our clients. So central vacuum is something which most of our clients have kind of insisted on, and there are many other things which they are talking about.
This is pretty interesting because in this case, in India, but also in other countries, in Italy as well, COVID-19 uh, pushed the digital innovation more than any other situation or person or CEO, CFO. COVID-19
whatever
was
level you
was the
are,
one.
whatever level you are,
Yeah,
yeah, whatever
exactly,
position you are.
exactly. And it's also interesting when you said that in a city like Mumbai, where there's a lot of people, a lot of traffic, you tend to spend half of the day in your car going from one meeting to another. And this situation that we are living now, where we are forced in staying home and forced in using tools like the one that we are using right now, using Zoom or Skype or
Right. Yeah.
FaceTime to see each other. Um, it's also, I think, the mindset of the clients that is changing. For example, us, we are also working with internal agents that are going visiting our clients, taking the car, and now we can do 20 appointments every day rather than
Absolutely.
2 or 3.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So it is going to save a lot of man hours. That is one. Even the clients have started understanding and started realizing. Initially, there were times that even for the smallest of things, the client would expect someone from the team to be present physically in front of them, trying to explain them things and stuff like that. Now, I guess this time and this use of technology, even if there were a bit hiccups for sure, but for I would say 8 out of our 10 clients have been more than comfortable, and in fact they have said that even if, when the things get normalized, they would like to communicate in the same format, which obviously saves their and our time as well. And the biggest factor I would say in Bombay, where I would say most of the people are running around late for their
Yeah,
meeting.
yeah,
Now, having things on Zoom and having things on online, you can be precisely
on time.
available on the on time
Yeah,
all the
that's a very interesting point of view, and it's definitely true. And also, I think at the end of the day, you are less tired and you have more energy to spend with your
absolutely.
family or with your affections. Um, so talking about this, let's say, use of new technologies and use of new tools such as social media to advertise also companies' products, for example. What is your opinion on the digital revolution, and how is India keeping up, in your opinion?
I mean, the growth has been expensive. When we talk of the new generation coming in, invariably, I'm sure that's globally the scenario. When we're doing anything, the client is so well aware. One, due to his personal travels and his own personal interests, plus the availability of all these social media, I would say, each and every brand or each and every designer or each and every creator has his own Insta page or has his own LinkedIn page or stuff like that. And then the newer generation is obviously adapted to it. The generation which is for 45 to 50, who are still finding it a bit of a challenge. But if we are looking at 5 years from now or even 2 years from now, I think it's going to be the next thing forward. And there are a lot of, when we talk of materials also, there have been formats in which they are available where we can actually showcase the client the actual look and feel using the exact material without having any challenges. So convincing the client on with the actual installation on the 3D views or 3D rendering is becoming much more easier than compared to seeing them in a hard surface or a hardbound catalog, I would say. So I guess that's going to be the future. It's not even in the future; it's almost there. I mean, there's nothing
It's
to be.
already happening.
Yeah,
It's
it's
already
already there. It's happening already as we are talking.
definitely. And since this new use of digital tools, and since that you are an architect working with brands and visiting vendors or talking with sales agents to understand and know new products from different manufacturers, international manufacturers. How do you see the role of vendors and sales agents in the next future?
See, our vendors, I would say, have, pre this pandemic also, they were pretty much proactive when it came to all these creating awareness about the products and the other things. So, things which we are doing now, where we are trying to have these online webinars and trying to understand the products and the other things. most of our vendors have been doing this since quite some time, I would say. So, not in the literal sense where we could actually do a Zoom meeting, but then yes, the format in which they would circulate the information. There have been groups which have been formed. So anything new that they try to import or they try to get into the market, or anything new which is there on the in the market scenario which is available, they make sure that they send it across to our office. So there has been a digital communication which has been happening. So in fact, the personal meetings were just to build the PR. I mean, I don't remember when last did I meet any vendor to actually understand the product. The products were always being showcased digitally, and they were always being shared pre-handed before we actually meet. So I don't see any major this thing, but I mean that's my stake on this thing. So
It's
as far as the
definitely
same one.
very important for all the players in the field and all the parts involved to keep up with this new way of working.
Working.
Otherwise,
Yep.
the risk is really to be cut out of the market.
Absolutely.
You
And the
know.
architects have also realized that
Mhm.
every time a physical sample or every time visiting the store can so the way the clients have been insistent on revisiting them personally, even the architects to an extent had a preset notion that every time they'd have to select something, they have to go and see. But then we would suggest that the first cut uh, understanding of the product, the technicalities, and all those things can be done digitally. And then when you actually are sure that these are the four things that you would like to use, that is when you see the actual sample. So that will save a lot of time and energy for everyone.
This is like what is happening also with other products in the market in general. When you want to buy something, you do a research online, you read comments,
Absolutely, absolutely.
and then you get to know when you buy the product, you already know everything about that.
Everything about it. Exactly.
One question that I was eager to asking you is how do you think the office projects will change after this COVID-19 situation? And how do you think the Indian workers will organize themselves in the future in order to work?
Okay. I wouldn't know about the rest, but we in our office principally decided that we may just downscale our office size and kind of meet twice or thrice in a week, and then probably just work from home. So, uh, as I said with all the earlier comments that I made, the adaptiveness towards this thing has been phenomenal. So even if we just look at the energy that is getting saved, the time, everything. I mean, it's just adding a lot of value. So office spaces for sure. In fact, most of the volunteers and corporate giants over here have kind of built the culture. Like India, I don't know if you have heard of them, Tata Consultancy Services. In Bombay itself, they have scaled down their office space, and for 2 years they've been told to work from home. So many of my friends are into TCS, and now they've been given their laptops and they've been told to work from home. So that's one culture which is there to be changed for sure. So office space will have surely a second thought towards the planning or towards designing this space. There will be a second thought.
This will definitely be something that all across the world will be very important in the next few months because I mean I speak with people from all different countries, and I understand that some countries are more ready to do this leap, and some others for other countries is very difficult because maybe they are more traditional and they want to work in the traditional way.
Exactly. So we would still want to have an office space, but then that office space would be just to have one, probably just have the client meeting or just have review meetings with the teams. But otherwise, this format for everyone.
I this morning I spoke with a famous Japanese architect and designer, and he told me that right now he's seeing that the in the offices projects, what is changing is that now people want to have very well done offices, like as for like displays, in order for them to do like Zoom call like this one, and have a very good background on the back,
Absolutely,
good furniture.
absolutely.
This is interesting, and I think this will change a lot of paradigms in the future.
You will surely reduce the number of workstation. You would like to create some nice lounge space, or you'd like to create a nice AV setup in your conference room, which could be used for all these kind of meetings. So it is going to save a lot of space for sure.
Definitely, and cost as well, because maybe you don't need to have
Exactly.
yeah, you don't have to have offices in the city center. Maybe you can have
Absolutely.
in the suburbs, but have a good
A good setup.
background, a good
Absolutely.
setup. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I keep thinking about what you told me, that the now you have more time because you're not in the traffic all the time. And actually, I remember every time I talk with Indian partner or clients, there's always something going on. There's a klaxon or some cars or someone is driving.
As I told you, half of our lives, if we try and analyze, it's spent on the road.
How is the situation in India today? Today, as is May 20.
See, few of our sites and few of the works have started. Many cities have started operating themselves. I mean, they have opened up the things and they are getting prepared. But it's the population which is kind of scary. I mean, the density that we have, and unfortunately, the infrastructure is not that developed. So we are just hoping for the best. A lot of the migrant workers and all these issues, I'm sure, which you must have also seen and understood. Now, these guys have kind of reached their hometowns, on their reached their home, their native places. So somewhere now it is kind of distributed, uh, but still the density is scary. I mean, it's the scary aspect. So that's one of the reasons which is driving us to adapt this new format of working and just continue with this. But yes, manufacturing units, people who have to be on a day-to-day basis working, they have a lot of challenge.
How about restaurants? Are they open yet?
So restaurants not dine in. So dine out is obviously there. People are delivering things, but dining in is still not started. That seems to be a long
A
distance. So
longer, a longer thing.
in fact, everyone has become master chefs, and they're kind of exploring their culinary skills,
Yeah,
and they are kind of utilizing this time to enjoy their own home cooked meal.
to learn new skills and how to cook in a proper way. And this is what happened in Italy as well. In a couple of weeks, everybody were doing breads and pizza at their home, and
Absolutely, same here, same here. So the Instagram for the first 1 month was flooded with people cooking and
yeah,
displaying their. It's only after like 15, 20 days people started realizing that the vacation is over and now they have to get back to work.
true. And this is also something that it will take some time for people to get back to normal, and
The
it,
normal.
and even after when we will get back, it will be actually a new normal. And for example, vendors,
Absolutely.
they have to follow some safety rules, so people will have to wear masks and gloves to get in. And this is also something that will I think affect the way in which both private people and professionals will understand new products.
The attire will change. So when people are getting their clothes coordinated, they'll have to get their mask as well coordinated.
Yeah,
That's going to be something which is going to be the new normal for sure. On-site work would be a challenge for sure. So that is something where we are also trying to work out for the safety of the laborers and the workers. So that is something that even we are kind of exploring, and we are developing certain things where even if there are multiple agencies working, how do we make sure that there are standard formats of hygiene and the standard formats of sanitization which have to be followed. Protocols, and let's see if we should be kind of ready with that in a while.
How do you see your country, India, in the next future, in the next month? Do you think it will be able to recover quickly, or it will take some time to get back to how it was before COVID-19?
Honestly speaking, we Indians are very adaptive. Okay, we manage ourselves in whatever situation we are thrown in. So as I told you, like we are very optimistic, and I'm sure that's the entire spirit of India as well. I'm not an economist, so I will not be able to give you much on that aspects. But when we talk of spirits, yes, they're going to be very high, and people are going to be back as soon as possible. So that is something which is never going to stop Indians from back on their feet. Finances could vary. People will not be hesitant. It will be probably in 6 months from now, when things are better off, and if we are having a conversation, one side talking of like 6 months back, this was the situation, absolutely normal. So
Yeah,
that's to take it up.
will definitely take some time. And how about you personally? Do you have any projects coming up? Something interesting maybe you want to talk about? Maybe some projects you are working on, or some projects that you recently finished?
So we have been working on one university campus where we are kind of developing the entire master plan of that thing, and also the individual buildings for individual colleges. So just before the lockdown and before this thing, we had actually worked on a couple of concepts. So we are pretty much excited to have that project going on. So that is something that we are eagerly waiting for. And as far as the projects which are completed, well, I mean, the level of involvement in each and every project, that each project is special. So to carve out one, it would be kind of difficult. But then yes, there have been couple of like we were kind of honored to do the residence of my cricket coach. So
Oh,
that was
really?
something which was kind of
Cool.
emotionally attached kind of a project. Plus, there have been a lot of other projects going on. But then yes, it's been a journey which is kind of a learning process for everything. So whenever a client comes and would ask us, yeah, you show me the best project that you have done. So we'll say we cannot show you the best project that we've done because that's going to be the next one.
That's a good one. I will use it as well. I'll steal it from you.
Sure.
Nice. In the meantime, Marco is keep drawing.
Marco is amazing. I've taken too many snapshots, so I'm going to use them as well.
Nice. This is, this is actually the second episode of the second season. And today, talking with Marco, we were saying, but we're always talking about COVID-19, of course, because this is the situation right now, and it's also interesting to understand how different people and countries are facing this all across the world. But I think that shortly we will be also able to conduct interviews talking about different topics and different situation. Seems to be now the correct thing to do to understand how you are facing personally this situation, because our community is full of architects and designers which are and it is really interesting for them to understand how international colleagues like you are facing this situation. Maybe this can also help them in taking the right decision in their jobs.
Right. So, yes, for sure.
Yeah, sorry. So this is yeah, sorry, I lost you for a second.
Yeah, same here. Hello.
Yeah, I mean, sorry. So that's the thing. That's the thing basically. And coming back to the role of also agents and sales vendors, which is something really interesting for manufacturers as well, because now people have to understand, especially CEOs of or owners of a manufacturing company. They have to understand which is the best way to work in the future, also in terms of saving money, because right now is a difficult situation even from the money point of view.
Yeah.
You know,
So I guess, sorry.
now, one thing that I also wanted to ask you is regarding both the situation in terms of agent sales vendors and also more, let's say, easily and simply, what is your opinion on digital catalogs? On catalogs which are not printed on as usual books, hard copy books, but that are digitally made and spread with all the community.
We kind of, as I told you, we've been kind of used to having the digital catalogs and the digital libraries in our offices as well. So for us, I think that's the best way of looking at it, because as I told you, like a vendor from say the North Bombay, if at all he has to get some catalogs to our office, it's quite a task. I mean, time, energy gets wasted. So we have been of a very firm believer of having the digital catalogs vis-a-vis the actual hard bounded catalogs or samples. But as I said, like once we have shortlisted, that is when we actually want to see the actual sample. That is when we want the hardcore sample catalog. Otherwise, goes on with the digital this thing, absolutely. And we have been getting the files for our own study and for our own implementations into our renderings. So that makes life even more easier and better.
I think for both parts, because it's for architects and designers easier to have digital files that they can work on and they can put in on their elevation and simulation. And even for companies, it's better because it's a lot of saves in terms of investments. Because
Yeah, and now that we spoke with the new culture of reducing the office spaces,
yeah,
you would not want it up with a bunch of catalogs for sure.
yeah, exactly, exactly. You don't want to have a bunch of catalogs in your home and when you are
Absolutely.
smart working. And
Yeah, absolutely.
in terms of this, have you been able to actually work from home and focus on what you were doing? How you manage that? Are you working in the same place where you are doing breakfast, or do you have a special office inside your
No,
home?
so we are fortunate. I have an extra room which has
Okay.
been kind of converted into an office. But since it's a family of 4, 2 kids, my wife, all 4 of us have their own schedules, and they have their own meetings and their own seminars and stuff like. So people have kind of occupied their own rooms. So this extra room happens to be a common office space for me and my wife.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But kids have their own study area and they have their own study. So we've been blessed. So we have that space. But then, yes, most of our office guys have been using their living rooms, at times their bedrooms as their office space. But I guess that's okay. I mean, as far as the work is getting done, we are not too much of concern. But yes, whenever we have a meeting or something with the client, we just make sure that they have a decent backdrop and they're well dressed. That's about it.
Yeah, because these days it happens that you call one client and there's maybe some kids screaming or something is going on, and so it's people
Yeah.
have to get used to this.
It will take some time, but then I'm sure people have kind of understood that. So, yeah, first 15, 20 days, there was a challenge. So, even if I had a meeting with my office and there would be kids rushing into the room, asking if we could cook this, if we could bake that, look at our dog, he's just pooped somewhere, stuff like that.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, exactly, exactly.
so yes, but I mean, with time, even they have been seeing these kind of videos and they've realized that how embarrassing it's become, and they've kind of manage that. So now, even if they have their online sessions going on, or some classes or something going on, and if we try to move around even the console, so it's kind of a mutual understanding that each one has to understand, and they are kind of managing it. Not not too much of a stress as far as these things go now.
And how about schools? have they been able in India to organize themselves in a good way? Because in Italy, they actually didn't. It was a pretty big mess. They were not very able to organize online classes where everyone was attending, and they were not really used to that. And there was, in my opinion, that was not very well organized from our
Okay.
government.
So as far as India goes, our kids go. I mean, this is vacation time, so this is like a proper vacation time. So there have been a lot of other seminars, and there have been a lot of other, I would say, classes, and there have been some sessions that they have been attending. So one of my daughters attends her drawing classes or painting classes, which has become an online thing now.
Yeah.
So where she used to go twice a week, now she's been doing that at home. So I guess they have got kind of used to the entire format. And the school is actually going to be starting in the first week of June. So I guess they are pretty much ground prepared, and I'm sure they will be able to handle it. So I've just called for a couple of laptops from my office today, and they've just given
Okay.
it to them, so they can have their own backdrops and they can have their own themes and stuff like that. And they're pretty excited to have an online session, which is going to be starting probably in first week of June. Yeah.
And also kids, they learn right away how to do that, and they're way
They
more
are more
adapting than
smarter.
adults.
They are more smarter. They're
Oh
more
yeah,
smarter than
yeah. Especially this during this time, the youngest generation can really adapt very well, especially when we talk about digital things. And if,
technology. Yeah. They have their own YouTube channel and they've been uploading videos ever
oh
since.
yeah, so you're growing some influencers in the next few years. You will
Yeah,
see.
I know.
Nice. Mihir, I mean, thanks so much for this conversation. I don't know if you want to add
Pleasure.
something more. I think it was very interesting to understand your point
It
of
was.
view.
It was pretty much. Yeah, it was pretty good, and it was nice to have a chat with you. I hope everyone else in your end is safe and healthy.
Yeah, we are. Thanks so much. Thanks so much. And
So things are better now in Italy. I suppose
yeah,
manufacturing has started, right?
yeah, we actually entered, let's say, the second phase on May 4th, and
Okay.
so companies have been able to open up again. And starting this Monday, so 2 days ago, also restaurants and bars, they've been able to open
Wow,
again. Yeah, but
that's
also
amazing.
yeah, it's similar to the Indian situation. So they can only do delivery. uh, People can go in but just stay a few minutes and then go away. People have to stay 2 meters one to another. Just two tables in a room where there were maybe 15 tables 2 months ago.
Okay. But then, I mean, it's good. I mean, the spirit of Italy is the cafes and the bars and the
Yeah,
restaurants.
it was very difficult for Italian people to stay outside bars and
Indoors.
restaurants for for 2 months. Yeah,
Yeah. But otherwise, things are better off, right? I mean, that's
yeah.
what we've been hearing and understanding. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't know the actual scenario.
Yeah, no, it is in Italy as well. I mean, the main problem in Italy and all the countries was the uh, too many people at the hospitals in those critical weeks. Being forced to stay home helped us in these terms. So in terms of decreasing the numbers of infected and not to overload the hospitals. So from this
Right.
point of view, we are now in a better phase. But we actually started 2 days ago to reopen mostly everything
Everything
again. So we will see in 2 weeks
okay.
if this actually worked or
It's worked or it has gone the other way around.
exactly. It's still
No, I hope it will. I'm sure it would be better off now. With,
yeah,
I mean, Italy has faced real tough times. I mean,
yeah,
I hope that
yeah. For all of
this
us,
is
for all of us. I
yeah,
mean,
absolutely.
even in terms of psychological balance, because I mean, me personally, I was starting to freaking out after 2 months, because I mean our company remained open all this month, because we have been able to organize some production. And so I actually have been able to go to work and do things and organize webinars or digital meetings. But I see a lot of friends of mine that they
Okay.
stay home 2 months straight with no work. Uh, okay, maybe 1 month you play video games, but then you're
Then
done.
you
I
can
mean, I mean, you cannot watch
mode on.
the
Absolutely.
television 24 hours for 2 months straight.
Television, yeah. How many actually? So in our apartment also, every alternate day you will hear someone fighting or screaming. So it's kind of creeping into everyone's life.
Yeah.
Best thing is, I mean, you don't have a choice. I guess
But the
no one is
Indian
used to it.
Indian Cricket League stopped
IPL,
stopped
yeah,
in.
IPL stopped. Yeah, it was in April.
Yeah, it's a Italian football league as well stopped. So there weren't
Yeah,
even not matches to see.
they're just playing the old ones. So
Yeah,
the only one
exactly.
thing that I actually missed in this lockdown is not able to play cricket. That's one thing that I'm actually missing. Everything else has been perfect.
Cool. I like to see your positivity. This will also definitely help and be inspiring for as an inspiration for also people that follows us and will see this video. Um, Mihir, what to
Yeah,
say? Thanks again, and we will broadcast this video in our different
yeah.
channels in the next few weeks. We will update you as soon as we do it, so you can also share it
Thank you very much.
within yours if you like.
Thank you very much. I would love to do that.
We'll do.
Marco
Again,
has been exceptional. Yeah.
we will also I will also share with you maybe tomorrow all these sketches in
Yeah.
videos
Okay.
so that you can also have it by for you if you like.
Sure. 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 Super.
Cool. Here, thanks so much again.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
We'll be in touch very soon.
Sure. Same here.
Ciao, grazie.
Adios.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye. Ciao.